Так. Hello.
Good evening.
Harry.
Good evening.
Yeah.
How are
Thank
you?
you. Thank you. You come to us. It is very interesting. Yeah. And we are waiting for 10 minutes and then we'll begin to talk. Okay. Nice to see you. Okay. Helen, hello. Hello, nice to hear you. Hi. Thank you for your visit.
Hi, good evening. Nice to see you.
Hi, good evening. It's very interesting. We want to get at all your ICC too. And at first, it will be my presentation about 1 year, what we have done during this 1 year, during ICC. But then it will be interesting report about the ancient connections between Great Britain and Ukraine from Kiev Rus. And no, then Roger Stent, I hope he will come.
I'm hoping he will come as well.
Because he said he will come only after 1930.
Oh, right. And I've got to leave at about that time because I have a previous meeting which I can't get out of. So I thought I would come and say hello so I could meet you and hear a little bit about the year of support, over a year now. And if I apologize if I log off at 7:30.
Yeah, because he's a very busy guy.
Yes.
I understand.
Yes. Well, we're all busy. And
yes.
I didn't know about this meeting until a few hours ago, so there was no time to reschedule because I'm doing a presentation somewhere else and I couldn't cancel it last minute.
Okay, understand. Okay,
Helen,
but
I believe you and I are the new faces here.
I think we are, Gary. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're from London?
I am from London, District 1130.
And which club are you in?
Northwick Park.
Northwick Park, okay. No, I've been to quite a few of the London clubs over the years, but haven't been there, no.
Well, it's been going quite a while now, Northwick Park. Sydney Parker, the past RIBI treasurer, is a member of the club. That might help you if you know anything about Sydney. No.
No.
Well, we're very near Northwick Park Hospital, if you know where Northwick Park Hospital is, and very near Wembley Stadium. I can see virtually from my home.
Yes, I can picture the arches, yes, or the new arches, yes.
The new arch, yes.
But I can't see that from 700 miles away.
No, you definitely can't. Yeah.
Well,
in fact, you're probably closer to our Ukrainian friends than you are to me.
Yes. That's possibly so, yes.
I will close the window.
Have you been to Ukraine, Gary?
No, funnily enough, we had planned to do a three-country, Armenia, Georgia, and Ukraine before, and then COVID happened.
No, I've been to Ukraine a couple of times because I've been supporting a centre there since 2009.
Oh, right, very good.
So very involved with Felsted Aid and the Revival Centre in Chernihiv.
Oh, you'll certainly bring a lot of local knowledge then to this group.
And I've driven there with Aid as well. So yeah, I think I like the Ukrainian people, and I bonded with them from when I first visited, and I made an oath then that I would be there. You know, Rotary in London would be there to support whenever needed, and we've upheld that, which I think is quite a
Natalia, Natalia, nice to see you. Hi, hello.
Hi, nice to see everybody. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, and it is our next presentation. It will be from Natalia and James Onion. Okay.
Yes.
I hope will our Ukraine members will come too. Okay. James, hi. Close. Okay.
He's still trying to log on, probably.
Sorry, I'm a few moments late. Good evening to you all.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Good evening.
James.
Nice to see you.
You haven't yet? Good to see you.
Yeah, okay. Maybe 2 minutes we'll wait.
Yeah, I think it's worth waiting a little bit longer.
You've got
Hi, Helen.
Hi, James. You've got a nice sunset where you are, I can see.
I know, but sadly it's not real. Well, it is somewhere, but
not there.
There will be a nice sunset outside here a little bit later.
Yes, I know.
Now, do you and Gary know anyone else on here?
No.
No. Okay.
Helen and I have been speaking for the last couple of minutes to just to orientate a wee bit, but no, I don't. What club are you in, James, yourself?
Kew Gardens.
All right. Okay.
James is not too far away from my club.
Okay.
In fact, we have a man in my club who's married to a lady in your club.
Absolutely. Peter King.
Peter King.
Mm.
He had something to do with being president of RIBI at some stage.
He certainly did.
Yeah. And guess who's going to be president of our club next year?
I know it's Peter.
Absolutely. I don't know how he's going to find the time, but he's going to do it.
Well.
Natalia, I don't think we've met before. You are from...
I don't think too that we have never... Actually, I do not know anyone from this group, so I would like to say hello, introduce myself.
Yeah, please. I think it'd be good if we just spent a few minutes doing that. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Natalia Sherbinina. I'm from Ukraine, District 2232, Rotary Cherkasy International Club. I'm very, very new in ICC Ukraine Britain, but I'm really happy to be here and to serve our Ukrainian and Britain relations in a good.
Is that the same club as Ola?
Ola
Polichuk.
Yes, no. Ola Polichuk is a Cherkasy Rotary Club, and I'm Cherkasy International Rotary Club. But we are, but she is a good friend of mine, so we communicate.
Yeah. Okay. I'm the national coordinator for ICC over in the UK. We've just been joined by Roger Stent, who I'll introduce later, as the new leader of our ICC. Okay. Suddenly everyone's joining. It's all happening. Yeah, I happen to also be on this ICC. Helen, do you want to say anything?
I briefly have...
Because you've got some good contacts over the clubs over there, haven't you?
Yes. I very kind of introduced myself at the beginning. I'm with the Rotary Club of Northwick Park, which, as I explained, is very near Wembley Stadium, because everybody knows where Wembley Stadium is, and that's a good landmark. I have been involved, as I said, with Ukraine since 2009, specifically with the Revival Centre in Chernihiv, who look after children with disability as a result of the Chernobyl disaster. And I've travelled there. I met Sergei Zavodetsky, the past district governor of, well, of Kyiv. So I'm very keen to be of support and help in any way I can. I have driven a van out there with aid, but that was going back. We've supported them with various vehicles, and I have collected aid every 12 weeks for the since 2011. So I'm I suppose a dedicated supporter, let's put it like that.
Well, dear friends, Mayor Rostislav, please present you, tell you about yourself. And Andrew Hook just come. Please, Rostislav, present yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rost Lukac. I'm from Kyiv. I'm from Kyiv Capital Rotary Club. I'm past president of this club. And in Rotary, I'm from 2005, and I'm very much involved in this situation, which we have now, as I'm chairman of the Peace Building Commission and also I'm district trainer here in Ukraine. I'm happy to be here with you. Thank you, Marina. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Andrei Hook, please present yourself. Professor Hook.
Yeah, hello. Hello, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes, yes.
We can hear you, Andrei.
So nice to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marina, for organizing this. I am a past president of Kyiv Sofia Rotary Club. And I'm neurosurgeon. And also I am one of the activists of Revolution of Dignity. And also now in the Rotary Club Kyiv Sofia, I am responsible for communication with Rotary Foundation.
Okay. Well, friends, my suggestion is maybe James, maybe your members will present themselves.
Yeah. Before we do that, I'm struggling with pronouncing the name at the bottom there because my ability with the alphabet isn't good enough and they haven't introduced themselves. Can you introduce them?
Roger, nice to see you.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hiya.
Dave,
Roger, you know the alphabet.
Nice to see you. Hi.
I am not that good on Cyrillic, I must admit.
Okay. You struggle
come on, don't be modest.
I tend to go back to maths and relate it to Greek letters and then work it backwards. Anyway.
Can I just ask Gary to introduce himself?
Yes, I think I may well still be muted. No, I'm not. Yes, I'm Gary McAllister, a member of Ithen Valley Rotary, which is a club in the northeast of Scotland, District 1010. Although if I'm speaking to American clubs, I will say it's District 1. And I was approached by one of the Kharkiv international members and asked if I'd want to be involved in this, and then subsequently by James. So really tonight, it's all about learning what this is all about and where we are. So it's all about taking stuff in for me tonight.
Okay, let's move all the way from Scotland to Ireland. Dave.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dave Murray. I'm coming in to you from Ireland. For my sins, I know Roger Stent rather well.
Yeah, don't we just?
We served as district governors last year. My reason for being here is pretty simple. I think Ireland is hugely supportive of Ukraine in this hour of great need. And I would like to see that we do everything we possibly can to support Ukraine.
Thank you.
And Jalilat, are you there? Coming down towards Roger's area? The next district up, the same as Helen. Hi.
Hello, it's Jalila. Okay, all right. My name is Jalila, and see, why am I here? We haven't had a meeting in a while, so I don't know if I've missed them or we stopped for a while. The last time I think we had a meeting was a few months ago.
Yeah, we stopped for a while.
Okay, good. All right then, haven't missed much. So I am here because my club, Rotary Club of Chiswick and Brentford, we're twinned with Rotary Club Kharkiv, and we have a laptop for Ukraine project where we're getting funds to send laptops to Ukraine, and we also have a very close relationship with past president of Rotary Club Kharkiv International, Sergey, and so he and his family are with a member of the club. They're staying with a member of our club, and yes, so that's why I'm here, just to support and do as much as we can, and also to get some more laptops for Ukraine if possible.
Yeah, it's funny, Jalat. When you told me you were hosting Sergey,
yeah,
I know Sergey, but my Sergey, the one I know the best, is Sergey Zavatsky. But now I know Sergey as well because he's visited our club several times.
Yes, a different Sergey, isn't it?
Roger, Marina, is now the time to introduce Roger in his new position. Shall we do that?
Yes, maybe.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I'll talk. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, James and I had a few discussions. As many of you may know, within Rotary Great Britain and Ireland, as it came out. Ross, could you mute? It's all right. If somebody could mute Ross. Thank you. The task force that was set up 18 months ago in Rotary Great Britain and Ireland to support Ukraine is stopping as of tomorrow. And there's a new format, a slimmed down version going to start. Now that means that the ICC will, thank you, Dave, that's a wonderful comment. He's just put in chat to me personally, what do I have to do to escape from you? I'm not sure what the answer to that one is. Anyway, thank you, David, for your confidence and exuberance. The thing we have to look at, and what I want to do in the next few weeks, is ask the Rotary Great Britain and Ireland members of this ICC to join me for an hour or so to look at what the new role should be, because whatever role it did take last year from the Rotary Great Britain and Ireland side will be changing, because the task force is no longer there. Now, I've already had some discussions with Janine Birtwistle, who is the head of humanitarian services within Rotary Great Britain and Ireland, who is going to be leading the Task Force Mark II, whatever name it is. And we're trying to establish like some heads of terms. What is it we're each going to be doing so we don't overlap, we don't duplicate, and we actually fulfill our functions. So it's something to be thinking about. And from the Ukrainian side, what would you like the ICC to actually deliver, as opposed to a relief task force? Okay, which is what the Task Force Mark II will be. I've got my own ideas, but I don't want to prejudice anyone beforehand. Now, just so that there's many of you here who have met me, but many of you who have not. I've been DG for the last 2 years, and I step down tomorrow. Yay! Don't all shout. And step over straight off into this role. And this is one of the, it took me a few weeks to decide to take it, and now I have decided to take it. I really want it, because I think we can do a lot of good in building relationships, longer term relationships between people. Now, I am like Helen, I've worked in Ukraine. I've been involved very heavily with the Ukrainian government, Department of Trade, I'm not sure what they call, is I've been heavily involved with them for the past 6-7 years in a major project funded by US aid and some other agencies, helping smaller businesses in Ukraine learn how to export, how they can grow their businesses. And that's one of the key features of success, will be to remove the Ukrainian economy dependency away from agriculture and to diversify and get a good capitalist, dare I say it, framework of industry working. And it's fascinating working with them. I've worked with about 500 companies so far. And another program started 2 weeks ago, which will go on till next June. And I hope I'll be able to come out to Kiev or the other cities to be able to meet them face to face. So I've got a strong commitment out there. And I think I'm going to leave you with a lasting memory that I have, which was in Melbourne. I was not very well. My wife was not very well at all because of the flight. She caught a head cold, influenza. So we didn't see much of Melbourne, but we did see the House of Friendship. And we walked up to the Ukraine district stall that you had in the House of Friendship. And the first person to see me was Vladimir Bondarenko. And he ran at me in great big bear hug. Now, I don't have any, well, I have about 3 words of Ukrainian. He has about 3 words of English. But it was just so lovely, the relationship, because we've worked together for 18 months on the task force. And I thought, yeah, this is what it's all about. It's about the people relationships and making those friends. And that's my sort of underlying theme for how I would like us to develop. So on that basis, I'll hand back to Marina. Thank you very much for letting us speak to you and to see some faces that I have met. I've met you before, Marina, and a couple of others that I've met. And I really look forward to working both with yourselves and with the newer members of our task force. I know Dave and I know Helen, but I don't know Gary and I don't know some of the other ones. And it'll be lovely to work with you, and let's make a success of the next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Marina, I think there's still 2 people from Ukraine that haven't introduced themselves.
Yes, it will be very good. And truthfully, I cannot see them because I have opened my presentation. Okay, friends.
One of them is Andrei Cherepanov.
Yes, hello.
Yeah.
My name is Andrei Cherepanov. I'm president of Rotary Club Mykolaiv. Mykolaiv is a city on the south of Ukraine, on the Black Sea coast. Sorry to be late because there was no power and no internet connection because bomb alert still in force right now in Mykolaiv. So that's why I've been late. Anyway, it's a pleasure to see you, to talk to you. So let's go on our agenda. Thank you.
Okay, and then there's a gentleman or a lady whose name is in Cyrillic. And neither Roger nor I can manage that.
Кардіологія НООЗ. Марина, що це?
It is technical support. It is technical support, yes.
Okay, thank you.
It is my department, cardiology, technical support.
They're obviously very shy.
Yeah. Well, and everybody who wants to say can to say, yes. And may I some slides to show some slides about what we have done during this last year, and to understand what we have do in future, because maybe that is why we have some basis, and then we can help. Tell me, please, do you see the slide?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That is why I became to I try to show from, and now you can see, yes?
Yep.
Yeah. Dear friends, to my mind, we have a very good relationships today, but everything began from the charter. And when we began to organize charter, we began to know each other. And that is why, to my mind, it was the basis to organize the task forces, because the task forces, it is a great, nobody, no countries with which Ukraine can so close relationships in task forces, because it is a really example as a very, very deep friendship, and it is really a lot of things. You see, you know all these pictures, you know the first when the German come to with this car to Lviv. We know that a lot of what helped to us, International Rotary Fellowship, Medicine Fellowship. You see a lot of emergency which come to us. You see the generators which come about demining, about motion. You know, all these things you know, and it is very, very important that during the task forces we have such good relationships. Then you know about this very interesting project of Yana Bobrova, Ukraine's icon in London's church. It was really a lot of people. It was not only presentation of icons, but it was presentation of Ukraine culture, because it was music, because it was a lot of for our friends. And then you see I will say that two people stay in UK now. It is Sergei Savitsky, and I hope he will come soon and to us, to our meeting. And a lot, more than 10 twin clubs he organized with Eric Avitisov. You see a lot of with Cambridge, with Oxford, twin clubs, and it is very, very great, big work to have friends in UK. The same Eric Avitisov. He was at first in Aberdeen with Mykola Zinkevich, but now he is in Edinburgh, and you see a lot of organizing things, and even you can find there to receive laptops to organize this. More than 1,020 laptops from UK. It was sent to Kharkov International for people, for children who come to study now. Then you see there, I want to say about the Scotland friendship between Rotary Club Mykolaiv and Rotary Club Gurok. And thanks to Marina, it is a great work she have done, because a concert, she was organized concert and other things. And we see today Rotary Club Gurok and Rotary Club Mykolaiv organized, and we see Andrei Cherepanov, Marina. It is a real good friendship between Scotland, this club, and Mykolaiv. And friends in Ireland. It was very, when Igor Balaka called me, he wanted to meet with some Rotary Club of Dublin, somebody, and we have done, and I thank you very much to Rotary Club of Dublin, began to help to Kharkov Rotary Club, Kharkov City. This is Marina again, because it was she took part in young musicians competition of Clyde View Academy, and she support a lot of young musicians in this competition from Ukraine. Then you see how we celebrate Independence Day of Ukraine. It was a lot of maybe liters, 100 liters of borscht was cooked in Aberdeen in Yatan Valley Rotary Club, Metlin community, and Eric Avitisa organized this. And as you see, all people in Vyshyvanka, because she bought Vyshyvanka and present to Scottish people, and everybody dress Vyshyvanka. Ukraine borscht in Scotland, you see, because it is the Scottish people, they began to cook this borscht, and you see a very, very big quantity of borscht, and thanks to ICC and member Eric Avitisev, who is a restaurator. Eric is a restaurator by his profession, and he organized this meeting. And to be truthfully, it is from our heart to have thank you. We are grateful to all organization of UK, and to create this Christmas gift, create these benches and these planes on these benches. And it is, to my mind, it is very important. We cannot do another way to show our grateful, but it is some little what we can to do. I make some interviews for the Rotary Fellowship International healthcare professionals. Then it is we cook together, and by Zoom we teach another Rotarians how to cook borscht. And last my interview, it was speech in the special Henry Johnson Society about the Belarusia and why about problems of Ukraine. Thank you for your attention, friends, and I hope we can do more interesting things in future with the help of Roger Stent, with the help of new team, British team, and our Ukraine team too. Do you have some questions, please?
I think there's only one statement actually, Marina, and that's follow that.
No, I want to say that we have, with the help of task forces, we have help, to my mind, it is very important that refugees from Ukraine can chance to come to apartments, to houses of British people. It is very, very we are very grateful for this, because it is British people open their hearts to Ukrainians, and it is support too much, very much our people. And I'm thinking that we have to, for today, more than 10 twin clubs, and it is very important to my mind. And we can to do this in future, to be more close to each other.
Good.
Well,
I think, Marina, I think it's really worth adding that you go to almost any Rotary community around the country, and they have taken the people from Ukraine to their hearts. And we may not have cooked borscht, but we did have Independence Day celebrations.
We did cook borscht.
And okay, you cook borscht. and we've got local Ukrainian and we've got local Ukrainian groups that we are working closely with, and that's something I think that will continue.
I want to stop demonstration of Ikra, how to do this. Oh, I don't know how to do this. I'm sorry. Technically, I'm not very good.
Maybe I will start mine and then it will cover yours.
Yes, maybe, yeah, maybe you begin, Natalia. I can do, okay, nice. very, very good at last. And Natalia, maybe who is come to us? Oh, Sergei Savitsky. Sergei Savitsky, please tell some words about you, because I told about you a lot, about your twin clubs, about your work. Present yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. I am very grateful for everyone for everything. I just try to have more communications with more Rotarians and more clubs. My responsibility to do more twin clubs between Ukrainian clubs and no, in clubs in UK and EUR. That's why I visit different clubs. I met amazing people, very lovely people, kind in different cities in UK, Scotland, everywhere. That's why I just very grateful, because each time I have support in everything, in accommodation, in a logistic, in just I have a speech everywhere, and it give some good results. Exactly. But Marina mentioned about the laptops, about twin clubs, about, I think, and it's a huge account of exactly disaster grants, funds. That's why if maybe someone has any questions, I think I spoke with a lot of hundreds of Rotarians in UK, and I hope that sometimes we could help you with some project in your country, or to have some project together in the future. But unfortunately, now we need support in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think Suno has just joined us from up in Lancashire. Suno, can you hear us? Are you able to just introduce yourself?
Very well, James. Yeah, thank you. I'm on holiday, but I thought I'll just drop in.
Okay. Do you just want to say a few words about what you've been doing up there?
But we haven't been doing very much for Ukraine from our district, I must admit. Not that I'm aware of. But as a club, we hope to do some kind of support in the new Rotary year. That's all that I have to say, James.
Okay, well, Natalia, please present your presentation about ancient relationships between Ukraine and Great Britain. I have to send you possibility, yes? Or you can to take by yourself?
I'm not sure.
I call to.
Can you see what I'm sharing?
Yeah, it's working, Natalia.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. So I hope that this evening's immersion into the shared history of our two countries will be interesting and exciting, and you will not be bored. So last hour meeting, Marina suggested that we would talk about Ukrainian-British relations since the time of Kievan Rus. The earliest information about our mutual ties refers to the period of Kievan Rus. Some of its aspects remain insufficiently researched and require further study. Such in particular are the diplomatic and marriage ties between the Ruric family, which were the royals of Kievan Rus, and representatives of the English Kingdom, United Kingdom, the historiography of which is rather chaotic at the time. So I would like to tell you something about the Kievan Rus, in case if you do not know what it is. It was a state on an Eastern European feudal monarchical state in which Kiev was the capital, and it existed during the 9th and 13th century. It united East Slavic, Baltic, and Finno-Ugric tribes under the rule of princes from the Ruric dynasty. At the time of its greatest power, it stretched from the White Sea in the north to the Black Sea in the south. Please mute your microphones. And from the headwaters of the Vistula in the west of the Middle Volga in the east. So, who was the first king who first ruled Kievan Rus? It was Prince Olaf from family of Ruric. In the documents, we find the year 882. His successor Igor fought with Byzantium and died in the hands of the Drevdanos. They were the tribe inhabited this area. So after the death of Igor, his wife, Princess Olga, stabilized the state and she converted to Christianity, doing so developing stronger ties with European countries. The reign of her son Svetoslav was marked by military expansion to the east and south. So the next who ruled the country was Volodymyr Sviatoslavovich. It was a very tragic story because he took the throne after the fratricidal war. He killed 3 brothers. But he expanded the territory of the state, baptized the Kievan Rus, and in 988. Volodymyr Sviatoslavich, also called as the Volodymyr the Great, Volodymyr Veliky, or Volodymyr the Holy. Sometimes Volodymyr Krasne Sonetko, which means the red sun. And he used this sign, trident, which you see to the left of the picture. Now this trident became the coat of arms of Ukraine when we got our independence in 1991. Yaroslav the Wise was the son of Volodymyr the Great. After the fights for the power, became the next prince of Kievan Rus. And this prince, in his foreign policy, preferred methods of diplomatic relations, reinforcing them with dynastic marriages. This was the era of dynastic marriages. The prince himself was married to the daughter of the Swedish king, Ingigerda. His daughter, Anna, was the wife of the French king, Henry I. Elizabeth was the Norwegian, wife of Norwegian king Harold the Brave, and Anastasia was wife of Hungarian king Andrew. Sons Iziaslav, Svetoslav, Vsevolod, thanks to their marriages, strengthened the friendly relations of Kievan Rus with Poland, Germany, and Byzantium. So, as we can see, written sources of Anglo-Saxon, Norman, German, and French origin record information about 2 facts of connections between Kievan Rus and the English kingdom. So the first one was that English Prince Edward and his brother Edgar, during the years 1028 and 1046, they were at the court of the Kiev Prince Yaroslav the Wise. And the second source record contact between Kievan Rus and the English kingdom in connection with the marriage of the grandson of Yaroslav the Wise, Volodymyr Monomach, with the English princess Gita of Wessex. So I will tell you about the first part, 2 brothers, Edward and Edgar. They were taken out of England after the murder of their father, the English King Edmund the Iron-Sided, and the seizure of the throne in 1016 by the Danish conqueror Knut I the Great. By the order of Knut I, Edward and his brother were transported to Sweden with a letter of death, and from there to the court of Yaroslav the Wise, where they stayed until 1046. At the court of the Prince of Kiev, Edward married Agata, whose origin and status still remain incompletely clarified in world historiography. Some historians claim that Agatha was the daughter of Prince Yaroslav the Wise and the Swedish princess Ingigerda. According to the hypothesis of the English researcher Andey, Agatha was sister to Yaroslav the Wise, the daughter of Volodymyr the Great and the Byzantine princess Anna Porphyrorodna. Together, Edward, his wife, and 3 children returned to English kingdom in 1057 at the invitation of King Edward the Confessor, who had no heirs. And the next connections that I would like to talk about, it's Princess Gita of Wessex. And she came to Kievska Rus under the similar circumstances as Edward and Edgar Atheling. She was a daughter of the last Saxon king, Harald II, Hodwinson. And this girl was to be given in marriage to her father's murderer, the impostor king, William the Conqueror, after his army won the Battle of Hastings and her father, Harold II, died, so that he could legitimately take the throne. Gita and her brothers were forced to flee the Kingdom of England. The impostor king William the Conqueror wanted the rulers of France, Germany, and Denmark not to support her. And he made an ultimatum: if they accept and warn the fugitive, so he will go with the war against them. He will devastate and take revenge, because the royal title of the Gita was very necessary for him. No one helped Gita of Wessex because they didn't want war. But only Queen Elizabeth of Norway wasn't afraid and challenged the murderer and impostor. Her name was also known as Elisif. She was called so in Europe. She was the daughter of Prince Yaroslav the Wise. He was the king of Kievan Rus, the builder of St. Sophia's Cathedral. After the murder of her husband Harald III, she ruled Norway and went down in history as the bravest queen of the Vikings. The princess from Kiev not only sheltered the orphan, but also issued an ultimatum. What? You dare to threaten me? From now on, consider this girl as my daughter. And Elizabeth raised Gita as her own daughter. From the Danish kingdom, Gita Hagardivna, as Ukrainians called her, moved to Kievan Rus, and she became the wife of Volodymyr Monomach, and Volodymyr Monomach was the grandson of Yaroslav the Wise. So this was from 9th to 12th century, and 13th century was the Mongol invasion to the territory of Kievska Rus, Eastern Europe, and this invasion interrupted the development of interstate relations between Ukraine state and other countries until the 17th century. And Ukrainian-British contacts were generally sporadic in nature at that times. Starting from 15th century, grain and wood were exported from Ukraine to Britain via Baltic Sea. And during 17th, 18th century, English diplomacy first took place in active interest in Ukraine at the beginning of exactly 17th century, I'm sorry. In the 1620s, when Europe was divided into Catholic and Protestant camps, England considered the possibility of using the Ukrainian Orthodox Cossacks against Catholic Poland. Cossacks, they were soldiers of Ukrainian Cossack state at the time. In this regard, the British ambassador in Constantinople, Thomas Roe, informed his government about the Cossacks. Further interest in Ukraine among the British was caused by the National Liberation War of the Ukrainian people in 1648-1657, under the leadership of Bogdan Khmelnytsky. Bogdan Khmelnytsky now is considered as a great figure of Ukrainian history, and we have a lot of monuments, museums, and even universities named by him. which then revolutionary England, led by Oliver Cromwell, perceived as a struggle against a common enemy, Catholicism. Cromwell followed the events in Ukraine and tried to establish connections with Khmelnytsky at the time. In 1708, 1709, the British ambassador in Moscow, Charles Lord Woolworth, informed London about the events in Ukraine related to the conclusion of an anti-Russian alliance between Hetman Ivan Mazepa and the Swedish King Charles XII. Captain James Jeffrey, the British representative in Bandari, Moldova, maintained contacts with Mazepa's successor, the Hetman in exile, Philip Orlik. The title Hetman you can compare with king or like a high figure, first figure in the country. After the death of Charles XII in 1718, Great Britain, which began to worry about the growth of Russian power through its ambassador in Sweden, Lord Carteret, continued to maintain relations with Philip Orlik, who was there at the time, and being interned in Thessaloniki on the territory of the Ottoman Empire from 1722 to 1734, Orlik used the support of local British members. Also, this 18th century was known as the story, the legend about the gold of Hetman Pavlo Polubotko. In November 1723, this Hetman of Cossack state, which was in Ukraine, Pavlo Polubotko, was arrested and imprisoned in the Petropavlivsk fortress. According to legend, before his arrest, Polubotko secretly deposited 200,000 gold coins with the bank in England at 7.5%. The amount of money, the bank and the interests vary in different versions. Some sources indicate 2 barrels of gold, 2.5%, and the Bank of the British East India Company. In his will, Polubotko allegedly left 80% of the gold for the future of independent Ukraine and the rest to his heirs. In 1922, a man who came from Brazil and called himself Ostap Polubotko, a direct descendant of one of the Hetman's sons, approached the Ukrainian Soviet Socialistic Republic embassy in Vienna. He showed Ambassador Yuri Kostyubinsky a photocopy of the document on Polubotko's contribution, the original of which he supposedly kept in a safe place, and offered a deal. He transferred the right to receive money to the Ukrainian Soviet Socialistic Republic government, and for the original he will receive 1% of the accumulated amount. However, an attempt to negotiate with the Bank of England ended in nothing. In the future, this topic attracts attention from time to time. Thus, during the chaotic time of the collapse of the Soviet Union, history again attracted the attention of the public. The interest in the gold of Polubotko coincided with the visit of British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher in Kyiv in June 1990. The Ukrainian parliament ordered the creation of a special committee led by Petro Tronk, who visited London, but no gold was found. The legend of Polubotko's gold was covered in a number of popular science magazines, and even now, time to time, this topic appears again to the surface. To continue the history of our relations in between countries, 19th century was famous that various architects and engineers who took part in the design and construction of city blocks, houses, and other structures in different cities of Ukraine were especially active at the time. In 1816, 1834, Admiral of Scottish region Alexei Gregg held the post of Governor General of Mykolaiv and Sevastopol. Interest in the Crimea increased in 1854, 1856, when the British Empire took part in the Crimean War against Russia. Together with the troops, the famous British organizers of aid to wounded servicemen, Florence Nightingale and Mary Seacole, were on the peninsula. After the war, British military burials remained in the Crimea, and its dramatic episodes were reflected in the works of Tanisov, and other English authors. In 1869, a native of Wales, John Hughes, became the constructor of a metallurgical plant and a workers' village in the place where the city of Yuzivka, now Donetsk. In a short time, the Gauza plant became the largest producer of ferrous metal. In order to study the economic potential of the region and protect the interests of British entrepreneurs, British representations were opened in various Ukrainian cities. As early in 1803, a consulate in Odessa, and in the second half of the century, consulates or vice consulates in Kerch, Kherson, Feodosia, Mykolaiv, Sevastopol, and Kiev. In the second half of 19th century and the beginning of 20th century, in the United Kingdom, interest in the Ukrainian art world has grown. A special role in this was played by the Slavologist William Marfil, who wrote several articles on the topic of Ukrainian literature, as well as the essay on the Ukrainian language in the Encyclopedia Britannica, the first Ukrainian studies material in this edition. The British press also published articles about Ukrainian culture by Mikhailo Dragomani and ethnographer Fedor Vovk, who maintained ties with local Slavists. The works of Taras Shevchenko, Ukrainian poet, were translated by Ethel Lilyan, Voynich, and others. Translations of Ukrainian folk tales were made by William Ralston and others. Some literary works by British writers on Ukrainian topics also appeared. Since the beginning of 20th century, the struggle of Ukrainians for national rights in the Russian and Austro-Hungarian empires became an important factor in Ukrainian-British relations. Even before the outbreak of the First World War, the question of the political situation on Ukrainians began to appear more often in the British press and among influential British circles. In particular, the political immigrant from Ukraine, Vladimir Stepaninsky, and the British publicist George Rafalovich contributed a lot to this. Both were engaged in spreading information about Ukraine and tried to gain supporters of the Ukrainian cause from among prominent British people. After the proclamation of the Ukrainian People's Republic in 1917, in December, John Picterbach was appointed the representative of the UK to the government of the Ukrainian People's Republic. At the beginning of 1918, the United Kingdom was ready to grant Ukrainian People's Republic official recognition. But after Ukraine signed the Brest-Litovsk peace with the Central States and German-Austrian troops entered the territory, this opportunity unfortunately was lost. Under the pressure of France, the UK was eventually forced to agree to the establishment of Polish authority in the region, although it reserved the right to territorial autonomy for the Ukrainian population. In an interwar Western Ukraine, British vice consulates operated in Lviv and Borislav. In the interwar period, Ukrainian-British state relations continued in the general context of trade between the USSR and the UK, although it's difficult to establish what part of Soviet exports and imports went to the Ukrainian Soviet Republic. A significant part of British grain imports probably came from Ukraine. Manganese ore from Nikopol is among other Ukrainian goods exported to the UK. And in 1923, a group of British businessmen founded the British Association of Trade with Ukraine, and there were efforts to establish the British-Ukrainian Bank in order to promote trade between the Ukrainian Soviet Republic and the United Kingdom. At the non-governmental level, the revival of Ukrainian-British ties was facilitated by the mass arrival of post-war Ukrainian settlers to the UK, who developed large-scale informational and political activities. Since 1950s, some organizations have maintained links with the Scottish League for European Freedom and the British League for European Freedom. the Anglo-Ukrainian Society founded in 1953, and the British-Ukrainian Society, named after Ukrainians played a mediating role between the Ukrainians and the British. Ivan Mazepa, 1967-1985. Among the British who became supporters of the Ukrainian were members of the Parliament of the United Kingdom. In 1951, Geoffrey Cooper and William Tilling presented in Parliament the case of introducing Ukrainian language broadcasts of the BBC World Service. In 1960, John Cardo initiated a parliamentary discussion on the issue of government policy regarding the official determination of the nationality of persons of Ukrainian origin in the UK. In 1975, William Whitlow was the initiator of the creation of the Anglo-Ukrainian Group in Parliament, which operated until 1983. In 1983-1987, post-war immigrants from Ukraine, Stefan Terletsky, was a member of the British Parliament. In the 1960s, 1980s, when the dissident movement developed in the Soviet Union, various British institutions and individual Britons came out in defense of Soviet political prisoners, including Ukrainian ones. One of the first important publications in the West about the persecution of Ukrainian human rights defenders was an article about the conviction of Vyacheslav Chernovil, which appeared on February the 7th, 1968, in the London newspaper The Times. Among the organizations dealing with the issue of Ukrainian and other Soviet dissidents, Amnesty International, whose center is located in London, was particularly active. Ukrainian-British relations reached a qualitatively new level after the establishment of the independent Ukrainian state. In November 1991, the UK opened a consulate general in Kyiv, and on December 31st, at the end of the year, it recognized independence of Ukraine. On January the 10th, 1992, diplomatic relations between the two countries were established, and thus the mentioned consulate became the embassy of the UK in Ukraine. Simon Heymans was the first British ambassador to Ukraine. In the fall of 1992, the embassy of Ukraine in the UK, headed by the first ambassador, Sergei Komicharenko, began to work. Since that time, full-fledged relations between Ukraine and UK have been developing on the basis of a number of bilateral and other agreements in various spheres: political, defense, economic, aid, culture, etc. Members of the British royal family, government, and parliament visit Ukraine, as well as presidents and other high-ranking officials from Ukraine to the UK. Cooperation between state, commercial, and education, cultural, and other institutions of both countries is spreading. Great Britain is one of the greatest friends and allies of Ukraine today, and Britain is helping Ukraine to win this independence in Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. And all the words of gratitude will be not enough to express our feelings of attachment to all of you, to all the people of Great Britain. And from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you to all of you, and thank you for your attention.
Really excellent. Thank you very much, Natalia. It is a diplomatic, historical diplomatic information, and thank you very much for your deep, very deep information to us.
I hope it wasn't very boring. I was trying not to, but actually a lot of dates, a very huge period of time. I hope you enjoyed it.
Can I ask a question, Marina?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, Natalia, there must have gone an awful lot of work into that.
Yes.
How many weeks did it take you?
It was a nice voyage to our joint history. Let's say like this.
I have a feeling Natalia, that you're going to be giving that a few more times.
Yeah.
Okay, if you wish so.
Because I can see things like district conferences wanting you to come online and speak to that.
Oh,
I'd certainly love to have a copy of it.
Okay, no problem.
I would agree with that, James. I think there's opportunities there that we could use elements of that for awareness raising.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
There was one bit that I thought felt fascinating when you were talking about Gita, was it the daughter of Harold Godwinson?
Yeah.
She went to Norway. The Norwegian queen was the widow of Harald Hardrada that Harold Godwinson had killed at the Battle of Stamford Bridge 3 months before he was killed at Hastings. So that's a bit of a circular history come right.
Yes, when I was trying to understand the events, it was quite difficult because a lot of things were going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of circular arguments there. Harold Godwinson said that the only land that he would give to Harold Hardrada was the 6 foot of his grave. And that happened. He was killed in Yorkshire.
Yes.
And yet his widow took in Harold's daughter. There's a moral there somewhere.
Yes, it always should be. I mean,
yeah.
But I'm just amazed at the distances these people were traveling in those days.
Mm.
You know, it's not the shortest walk from here to Kyiv.
Yeah, they went down the river. They did.
Now, yeah. Natalia, do you know our ambassador in Kyiv? Melinda Simmons. Her name is Melinda Simmons, but her heritage is she has heritage from 3 countries, including our own. One is Lithuania, one is Poland, but the main one is Ukraine. And it's interesting, you know, it's another of those circular ones. There she is doing what I think from over here is a great job over in Ukraine. And she originally is descended from Ukraine ancestry.
Yes.
Natalia, I have a question. Ukraine has been independent before the Second World War. Was the Soviet Union subsumed Ukraine after the Second World War, or before that it was a part of Russia?
Our independence, as I said, in 1917 was very, very short.
Right.
And actually, we are fighting for our independence for a very, very long time.
Right.
So the real independence, as if I may say like this, we got only in 1991, but as the history shows, it was not a real independence because still we were dependent on Russia.
Goes back a long way past the Ottomans to
yes,
Catherine the Great and those sort of areas. Well, thank you very much, Natalia. That was,
you're welcome.
From my point of view, there's several of us on this call who are fascinated by history, and you brought a lot of new information there, not just telling us what we already knew.
I'm sure you know a lot more from UK part, because
no, we don't.
We didn't study that so profoundly.
If you asked us about relationships with France, I think we could answer that one.
All right. We don't get on.
But not Ukraine.
No, it really was fascinating that, you know, the people who were leaders in the country at the time were making journeys so far away.
Yes, and actually Volodymyr Veliki, who baptized Kievska Rus, he was trying to do a lot of connections with European countries to protect himself. And this marriage diplomacy he developed very strongly.
Well, that's where Queen Victoria got it from. She married 13 of her children to European crowns.
Marina?
Okay, friends, do you have some questions? Any questions? Well,
I think we're all blown away by it, Marina.
Well, if it is nothing to tell, we can close our meeting. What do you think? Okay. Yep. Okay. Well, but we can talk about some suggestions. Tell me, please, such form of communication between British ICC and our ICC, is it comfortable to you, colleagues, friends? Maybe in future, we will do the same things. Maybe it will be interesting. Maybe, for example, Andrei Cherepanov promised us to tell about some figures in wine products from Mykolaiv, about wine production.
That wouldn't be of interest to us at all.
Yes.
Can I see some bottles of wine on the wall behind you?
Yeah, let me tell a few words about my report. Marina has appointed me to be next speaker in our next meeting. So my speech would be not so global historical review like we heard today from Natalia. It's going to be more human. And I'm going to tell you about the roles of Brits who came in Russian Empire in 18th century, when this area of Mykolaiv, Kherson, and Odessa were growing up rapidly. And literally, I'm going to tell you about one Englishman whose name was Thomas Coblet. However, his surname sounds like French, but he was born in south of England. And later on, he entered the service to Russian Empire. And he was assigned as a governor of Odessa. And at the same time, he was a naval commander of Odessa, Kherson, and Mykolaiv. But the main thing he was famous for was winemaking. Can you imagine? Not neighboring nations like Greeks, Italians brought winemaking here. That was him who organized here winery and vineyards. And there is a village named after him. And this is village still used as a area producing grapes and the wine, which is exported all around the world. So this is what about my next speech is going to be. Thank you.
We look forward to it. I think we might even raise a glass to it.
Yeah. Okay, we raise for sure.
Well, I was going to suggest to Marina that we need to look at coordinating diaries, because this is an ICC between the two countries, not of the two countries. So we shouldn't be operating too much independently. We should be working together. And yeah, thank you, Sergey. And it's that sort of approach that we need to be looking at. Like tonight, where we can talk and learn from each other, and that's what builds the relationships. And that was Natalia, that was fascinating, because I know something about the history of Ukraine and about its varied ownership, if that's the horrible way of phrasing it. But it's that added a lot to my understanding. If anyone wants an American version, look at Wikipedia's history of Ukraine. It's about 15 pages long, and it goes all over the place. It's not the most coherent, but yeah, I'll put some notes out to the Great Britain and Ireland section, Marina. We'll try and have a meeting and agree what we want to do, and then I'll bounce some ideas off you, and then we can start looking at well, how often do we meet together? What the program should be. Maybe we alternate who runs the meeting. And that way we can sort of make some interesting bits out of it, maybe share some culture from our side. We might even have Dave Murray doing Irish dancing. That would be good, wouldn't it?
Well, it might also be appropriate because there is some pretty good scholarship indicating that the source of the Celts was in or around where the Ukraine is today.
Mm.
And it is borne out by DNA testing, which surprisingly shows that before the recent arrival of a great number of Ukrainians to Ireland, there's a substantial amount of Ukrainian DNA to be found here. Interesting.
Just like 1 in 13 people are descended from Genghis Khan. So. It's true. It's true. I've got the book to prove it. Anyway, thank you very much, Marina. It's been a lovely evening, and well done, Natalia.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Here,
here. I think we should recognise, Marina, we only started talking about having this meeting this week on Monday, didn't we?
No, it's possible. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It may have been the end of last week, but certainly we didn't finalise anything till probably Tuesday morning. So it's amazing we got people here on that notice.
pretty amazing that Natalia put that presentation together between Tuesday and today.
Don't say anything.
I was preparing it actually 1 month ago, Marina asked me.
No, don't say anything, Natalia. You just did it in your spare time. We know that.
What do you think about meeting at the last Thursday of during the off month, maybe in July?
It's a good idea, Marina. I'll get my people together, our people together in the next few weeks, and come back to you quickly. Okay? But I agree. The more frequent, the better. The more it becomes a meeting of friends, not a meeting of acquaintances.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what we've got to move on to. And what else can we achieve out of it?
Okay.
So yeah. Okay, lovely. I've got some ideas because I'm running our Zone Institute next year, 15 months time, and I might be calling on you to provide some entertainment.
Right, do we have to come?
Well, you don't. I'm not even sure we want you to, but that's another issue.
Dear, oh dear.
Where's it going to be, Roger?
I'm sorry?
Where's it going to be?
Yes, it is.
No,
Where?
but where?
Yeah, well, yes, it is. Don't ask me to make a decision when I have people above me who won't make a decision. Right, we move on. So yeah, you know all about that, don't you?
Yeah, nice to see all of you.
Yeah, it's nice to see you as well, mate. And as I was saying just before you came on a bit late, I met Vladimir in Melbourne, and he was just bowled over. It was lovely meeting him.
Very good.
Yeah, he's a lovely bloke. There was I think there's a lady called Ilya there as well. I can't remember her name. Something to do with youth workers. She was from Odessa, I think.
There were about 12 people.
Yeah, there were. There were a lot of them there. A lot of them there. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you. I've got to get my dinner. You've got to get to sleep.
Yeah.
So you don't get woken up at 4 o'clock by the air raid alarms. And good luck. And I hope the rest of the Great Britain and Ireland people will join me in saying Slava Ukraini.
Heroям slava.
Heroям slava.
Thank you.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody,
Thank you.
to meet us.
Bye.
See you in July.